To configure the input channels of a Titan input module, click on the Tags and Channels tab. The Tags and Channels window allows you to assign the sensors previously configured in the sensor screen to specific input channels and set the gain, balance, and calibration parameters for those channels. Now let's take a detailed look at the components of the Tags and Channels screen. Beginning on the left, the channel tree displays the channels from all connected devices. For a mini recorder or pod, 16 channels will be displayed. If a Titan CPU is used, the channel tree could display up to 128 channels, the total amount for 8 Titan modules. When a new test is created, the names that appear in the channel tree are default channel names. To change the name, select a channel and type a new name in the name field, and then hit Return to enter the name. To the right of the name field is the Use Strict Naming checkbox. Strict naming disallows channel names that are in conflict with the naming conventions of other user-defined features in TCS, namely pseudo-channels, which we'll touch on later, and TCS triggers, which is part of the Recording and Triggers window covered in another video. When Use Strict Naming is enabled, all channel names must begin with a letter or underscore and may only contain letters, numbers, and underscores, and no spaces. Also, channel names cannot be functions, constants, or operators as defined in the pseudo-channel or TCS triggers list. Below the name field is the Channel Enabled checkbox, which enables or disables selected channels. Enabled channels are displayed in a bold typeface in the channel tree display, while disabled channels are shown in a normal typeface. You can easily enable or disable multiple channels in the channel tree by shift-clicking to make a group selection, or control-clicking to make non-contiguous island selections. To quickly select all channels in the list, click on the device header at the top of the channels tree. Selected channels can now be enabled or disabled, and any new gain, balance, or calibration settings will also be applied to the group. Sensors are assigned to channels using either the Sensors drop-down or the Browse button. When sensors are selected using the Browse button, sensor types can be sorted by type, model, or name, and in either ascending or descending order. Enabling the Show Groups checkbox reorganizes the display to sort by groupings of sensor type, model, or name. Moving down the window, the Gain drop-down sets the gain for the selected channel or groups of channels. The available gain settings are from 1 to 512, provided in both normal and inverted versions. Inverted gain settings are displayed in red in the overview table. As the gain is adjusted, the range and resolution is recalculated and displayed in the range and resolution fields on the right side of the screen. The engineering units and excitation value displayed here is inherited from the sensor screen. The Cal type drop-down selects the 3 calibration options. VCal, short for voltage calibration, removes the sensor input and applies a 50% full-scale voltage on the input when the device calibration is activated. RCal, short for resistive calibration, places a 100K shunt resistor in parallel with the input when device calibration is activated. EXT, short for external, keeps the signal on the input when using external calibration. Calibrations are exercised in the runtime screen. For more information, consult the TCS User's Manual. The BAL type drop-down specifies the Balance Enable option for the selected channel. The balance function removes channel offsets. The options here are Yes, No, and Prev or Previous. If Yes is selected, the balance function will be applied to that channel when balance is enabled in the runtime screen. If No is selected, the balance function will not be applied to that channel. If Previous is selected, then the last stored balance offset, or the offset loaded with the test, will be applied when the balance function is enabled. For more on the balance function, consult the TCS User Manual. Continuing down the window is a table of the defined channels. The table provides a non-editable overview of the enabled channels for the current test. Below the table is a grid that displays pseudo-channels. Pseudo-channels are virtual channels created in TCS by applying a mathematical treatment to one or more physical channels. To illustrate a simple example, let's configure a pseudo-channel to compute the difference between 2 temperature sensor channels and return the absolute value in degrees C. We'll give the pseudo-channel a name specify the engineering units for the channel, and then enter the expression. Our new pseudo channel is now added to the runtime screen along with all of the enabled physical channels. Pseudo channels are saved with the test and exported along with the physical test data. The creation and application of pseudo channels will be covered in depth in another video. At the bottom of the window, function keys provide an alternative means to select commonly used functions. The F1 function key is used to connect and disconnect to the selected Titan device. Function keys F5, F6, and F7 support pseudo channel operations. Function key F10 allows you to issue manual commands to the connected device, duplicating the Send Manual Command selection found in the device menu. Lastly, function key F11 switches to the in-vehicle display, an alternate display interface that provides keyboard-based control of TCS, useful when using a standard PC mouse or trackpad is impractical, such as during an in-vehicle test. This concludes the Tags and Channels overview. For more information on tags and channels, consult the TCS user manual.